Hi, I'm Iris Acker, and we're on stage. Preserve your family history. Personal memoir films. An historical video heirloom. Say hello to Richard Auerbach, who's going to tell us exactly what personal memoir films is all about.
Well, we are a group of people who feel strongly about preserving one's history for the next generation or the following generations. It's very common 100 years ago that diaries were kept, and that's kind of fallen out of flavor today. And but there is a need to pass on those stories. There's one I mentioned in a brochure about a gentleman coming home from World War II and talked about hitchhiking a ride back to Louisiana with a couple. And it was a big event to him. He remembered that like it was yesterday. He remembered the car, he remembered the people. I found the couple 60 years later. The husband had passed away. After some conversations with the wife who did not remember the moment.
Really?
She had no recollection of it at all. It wasn't important to her. And we were able to get a picture of them in that time frame.
Oh.
So as he's telling the story on video, we put up that picture, and he started to cry.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it was just that big event. And they're the kind of stories we want to pass on to the next generations. Not just where we come from and who we are, but the things that make us today who we are, who our grandkids will be, come from our history. And that's important to pass on, and too often is just fluffed off.
It says here, our research makes the difference. Time, before you know it, it's gone.
Yes.
Well, well said. Should we go right to a little clip from
Sure.
one of the clients?
Okay.
Or a couple of different ones, I believe we have.
Okay.
And that's kind of self-explanatory then, what they do. And then we can talk
Okay.
after that. Okay, let's see what we have.
Now, I asked you yesterday who your favorite movie star was. You said Cary Grant.
That's correct.
And then I asked you if you had a chance to run off with Cary Grant.
Yes, I wouldn't have run off with him.
No, you wouldn't.
You know, I didn't mention Hopalong Cassidy, but I did like the Westerns.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, now this is when we were young, he did not kiss the women. And I just thought that was wonderful. So I might have run off with him. That was William Boyd.
Yeah, William Boyd. That's right. In those movies, there wasn't, the cowboy movie, man, there was not any physical, even touching on. Just.
I asked the same question to Daryl.
Oh, would
Yeah.
you run off with somebody?
Yeah, I might have. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't have.
I'm trying to think, there was another one I missed, left out, and it was Ginger Rogers.
Now, he
She
said
was
in a heartbeat, Rita Hayworth, he was gone.
Oh, okay. Well, I
would
think you did better than that.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Betty Grable, I can understand.
Yeah. Well, one was a blonde one, the other was redheaded. Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about it?
Me?
Yeah.
They didn't get him.
On December 7th, it was a bitter cold day. That day we played football that morning. It was a very bitter cold day. On the way home from the movies, we stopped to get a hot chocolate. We seen all this activity of soldiers and sailors lining up to get on the phone. And we said, what's going on?
We interrupted
And they
the
said
program
that
to
they
bring you a
bombed
special
Pearl
news
Harbor.
bulletin.
He wanted me to marry him at the first time I met him. And I said, no, I'm not marrying you. He said, sure. I said, nope. I'm not ready to get married. I wanted to see a little bit of more people than more. Yeah, I dated a lot of guys. No, I went with probably 10, 9 or 10. Yeah. Oh yeah, I had one that he raised Cain.
Fascinating. Do you edit it afterwards, or as they say it's on that reel?
No, we edited it afterwards. What I believe is the family down the road is not going to be interested in me. So what I try to do is take out my voice. What starts out as a dialogue becomes a monologue. And they're telling a story. So I try to weave it together. One of the nice things about video is they can go off on a tangent and then we can put it back to where it belongs inside that story. So there is a lot of editing in doing these.
So how far back do they go in these memoirs? Children, I mean, memories as far back as they can remember?
We have a very detailed questionnaire we send out first, which asks them what it was like growing up, where they went to school. We've done a woman who traced her ancestry back to the pirates that settled Australia. And she had done that research, and it goes way back, depending on how much work they've done. But we normally start at their childhood.
You say this is an heirloom you'll be proud to pass on to future generations. Now, do they show it before? Do they just give it to them, don't open this until we're gone?
No, no, no. What I do, my pleasure, is I sit with the family and we preview it. We give them a preview sample to make sure the spelling is correct of the names, because once you give that to them, that's the way their name is going to be spelled forever. So we make sure it's all correct, and I get my pleasure because now they're seeing it for the first time. They're seeing the research that we've done.
That's the whole family, I mean, they invite everybody.
Yep. They'll have a big party.
And how long is the video?
It usually anywhere from a half hour to an hour and a half, depending on the stories. We've had some stories, I've gone back to the client and said, I can't cut these stories out, they're just too great, and they have to be passed down. So we extend that out and make it a little bit longer, but usually about an hour.
And what kind of a format do you put it on?
Well, it's delivered on archival DVD.
DVDs.
Right. We also, which are not copy protected. We're not in the copy business, so we let them make as many copies as they want. We give it to them on a thumb drive, because technology may change, and they can make as many copies off that thumb drive as they want. It's not our purpose to limit who sees or who does not see that video.
What led you to do this?
It started out, it's funny, I went back to school for video production in Palm Beach Community College, and I wanted to do biographies. And because I love history. I'm a real bad history buff. I mean, just, and I said, this sounds like a lot of fun. And I got way late, I got into doing a little TV show, and then that ended, and we said, you know what, let's go back to the biographies. So we started doing the biographies again and had a lot of success with it, and we're having a lot of fun with it.
So you've never done anything but this
primarily.
Since school?
Yeah, primarily.
You made a career out of this?
Yes.
And how do you find, I mean, I have a brochure here, and I have a little DVD sample. How do you get these to people? How do they get it from you?
Well, they can call me, or they write me. We have an email, we have a web address.
Here we go,
personalmemoirfilms.com. They can contact us through the web page, or they can call us at the 877 number. And the first thing we do is we mail out that questionnaire free. We don't charge for the questionnaire, and it starts getting them rolling, and it just goes from there. And
Will they get a brochure immediately?
They'll get a brochure, they'll get a folder. I think I have one. They'll get something like this.
Beautiful. Okay. And do you quote them prices right away?
No.
You can't?
Well, only because it depends on the length. It starts around $1,600 for a 30-minute video, and it goes up from there depending on the complexity of what we're doing and the amount of research we have to do. The research is probably the hardest part.
You do the research?
I do the research.
They just give you hints?
Yes. It's almost like a detective story.
Oh, fascinating.
We did one where a gentleman was farmed off to an uncle as a kid. His father broke his back in a railroad accident, and for a year was farmed out. They farmed the kids out to relatives, and he was farmed out to a family in Colorado. And I found it was a really little town in Colorado. So I called the county seat. They put me through to the general store in this little town. He said, oh yeah, I remember them. His cousin still lives here. So I got a hold of the cousin. I said, can you send me a picture of the house? He said, well, the house is all gone. It's been burnt down, he said, but there is a chimney left. I said, whatever you can send me, send me.
Isn't that something?
So it is, and it gets to be a detective. You have to be willing to stay in there. We did one lady who did a cruise on the SS United States in the 50s. She was 18 with her and her girlfriend, which was rare in those days.
Yes.
It took me 3 months to find a video of the SS United States.
Whoa.
Back and forth, back and forth.
Isn't that something? Yeah,
Yes.
that's a lot of work.
Oh, it is. And her,
Period of time from when they sign up till they get the finished product is
3 to 6 months.
3 to 6 months. It's that in depth.
Yes.
A lot of work, and you probably work on several at the same time.
Yes, yes.
Overlapping. Oh, that really is intensive. I just figured you sat people down in the comforts of their home and they talk.
That's the easy part. That's over in a couple days, and the rest of it is what takes all the time.
So you come back, you don't do the talking in one day.
It usually can be done in one day, depending on how much we have to go back and forth. We try to do the interview in one day. It's about 4 to 6 hours in front of the camera doing the interviews. We don't press. We don't go into. We're not trying to find the dirt, as quote unquote. But we're trying to get the stories.
Well, how old would you say a person should be before they tackle his personal memoir?
Well, it's interesting. The people who have hired me have been my clients. Have been the people that we taped. And I went to I belong to an association of personal historians. And at the last conference, I met a lot of people who do what I do, but in writing, they write these books. And they're hired by the children to do the parents. I've always been hired by the parents. So now we're looking to get involved with the children, and they're in their 50s, the children are today, who are looking to preserve the stories of their parents for their children. Because what happens, once you pass, the stories are gone.
They're gone.
There's no coming back.
Really, it's quite fascinating, and I thank you for sharing that with us. And we will call you a director, producer. What is your title?
I like lead historian.
Lead
Historian.
historian. I can see where the historian comes in. I had no idea what's so involved. Isn't that interesting? I figure when I'm so interested, everybody else is too, and I hope they are. And I always bring you interesting shows. Prove it. Watch again next week on Stage.